The rich and complex history of the American Southwest is defined by its rugged landscapes and the peoples who adapted to them with unparalleled ingenuity and resilience. Among the myriad stories of this region, the daring Navajo raid against the Comanche in the Wichita Mountains during 1848 stands out as a defining moment, illuminating the struggles, strategies, and survival instincts of two of the most powerful indigenous nations in North America. This event, steeped in bravery and cultural significance, provides a compelling glimpse into a time when alliances were fluid, resources scarce, and the stakes of conflict unimaginably high. While the battle itself is extraordinary, its significance lies in the intricate web of historical, environmental, and social factors that converge to create the conditions for this remarkable encounter. The deeper we explore, the more we uncover the layered motivations, cultural practices, and strategic genius that characterize the Navajo and Comanche peoples. At this time, the Navajo people, guardians of the Dineta, the Navajo, or Dean, have always seen themselves as stewards of their homeland. The Dineta, an expansive territory, defined by the four sacred mountains that encircle it. These mountains, Mount Blanca, Mount Taylor, San Francisco Peaks, and Mount Hesperus, are central to Navajo cosmology, forming a spiritual boundary that grounds their identity more than landmarks. These mountains serve as constant reminders of harmony and balance, core values that permeate every aspect of Navajo life. Economic ingenuity and resilience. Living in an arid environment meant that survival was an ongoing challenge. The Navajo rose to this challenge through a combination of agricultural expertise, livestock management, and a sophisticated understanding of their environment. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters of indigenous agriculture, were staple crops, carefully tended in the dry desert soil with irrigation techniques that maximized water efficiency, alongside farming. The introduction of sheep and goats by the Spanish in the 16th century revolutionized Navajo society. Sheep in particular became integral to their economy, providing not only food and clothing, but also a measure of wealth and prestige. Transformation through the horse. The arrival of horses in the Southwest further altered the Navajo way of life. Obtained through trade and raiding, horses enabled the Navajo to expand their mobility, facilitating both commerce and warfare. With horses, they could conduct far-reaching raids to acquire livestock, captives, and other resources necessary for survival. These raids were not acts of random violence, but calculated operations, vital to maintaining the community's prosperity and defense. Conflict and diplomacy. The Navajos' prowess in warfare was matched by their skill and diplomacy. They navigated an intricate network of alliances and rivalries with neighboring tribes and European settlers, ensuring their survival in a volatile landscape. However, these alliances were often tested, particularly as territorial disputes intensified. By 1848, the Navajo were facing mounting pressure from settlers and rival tribes, which likely influenced their decision to undertake the high-risk raid into the Wichita Mountains. Deep in Comanche territory, the Comanche masters of mobility and domination. If the Navajo were masters of desert survival, the Comanche were undisputed rulers of the open plains. Known as the Lords of the Plains, the Comanche exemplified the transformative power of the horse in indigenous cultures. Their mastery of horseback riding and combat redefined warfare in the Southwest, enabling them to carve out a vast territory that stretched from Texas to Colorado and Kansas. The Comanche's rise to power. The Comanche's ascendancy began in the late 17th century following their acquisition of horses. By the early 18th century, they had perfected the art of mounted combat, becoming one of the most feared and respected indigenous groups in North America. Their domain, known as Comancheria, was both a geopolitical and economic powerhouse, controlling key trade routes and exerting influence over neighboring tribes and settlers alike. The horse as currency and weapon. Horses were the cornerstone of Comanche life. A large herd not only symbolized wealth, but also provided the means to maintain power. Horses enabled rapid mobility, allowing Comanche warriors to strike without warning and retreat just as swiftly. This mobility made them nearly invincible in battle, particularly on the open plains, where their tactics of encirclement and feigned retreats proved devastatingly effective. The Wichita Mountains, a strategic refuge. The Wichita Mountains, with their rolling hills and hidden valleys, offered the Comanche an ideal base of operations. Here they could graze their horses, hunt game, and defend against incursions. By 1848, this region had become a vital part of their territory, its strategic value underscored by the large herds of horses kept there. For the Comanche, the Wichita Mountains represented both a resource and a symbol of their enduring sovereignty. The raid high stakes in the Wichita Mountains. The Navajo's decision to raid the Wichita Mountains in 1848 was not a mere act of aggression, but a calculated gamble driven by necessity. Facing increasing pressures from settlers and rival tribes, the Navajo leadership saw an opportunity to strike at a critical. Comanche resourced their horses. Intelligence gathered from scouts and traders suggested that a significant herd was grazing in the Wichita Mountains, guarded but not heavily fortified. For the Navajo, this presented a chance to not only weaken a rival, but also secure valuable resources for their own survival. Planning and preparation. The raid was meticulously planned. A select group of approximately 50 warriors was chosen, each a skilled rider and fighter, with experience in raiding tactics. The group's leader, though unnamed in historical records, was likely a seasoned war chief known for his strategic acumen. The warriors traveled light, carrying only essential supplies and weapons, ensuring maximum speed and stealth. The journey to the Wichita Mountains was fraught with danger. The raiders had to traverse hundreds of miles of hostile territory, evading detection by Comanche scouts and other rival groups. Their route took them through deserts, canyons, and mountain passes, each posing unique challenges. The raiders relied on their innate knowledge of the land to find water sources, avoid ambushes, and maintain their pace. The battle chaos and courage. Arriving at the Wichita Mountains at dawn, the Navajo raiders quickly assessed the Comanche camp. The horses, numbering in the hundreds, were corralled in a central area, guarded by a handful of warriors. The Navajo's plan was to strike swiftly, seizing as many horses as possible before the Comanche could mount a coordinated defense. The initial attack was a masterstroke of stealth and precision. The raiders overwhelmed the guards and began driving the herd out of the corral. However, the commotion alerted the Comanche warriors, who responded with their characteristic speed and ferocity within minutes. The camp erupted into chaos as Comanche riders mounted their horses and launched a counterattack. A clash of strategies. The ensuing battle was a dramatic display of tactical brilliance on both sides. The Comanche, with their superior numbers and cavalry skills, sought to encircle the raiders and cut off their escape. The Navajo, outnumbered but not outmatched, used the terrain to their advantage, positioning themselves in defensible areas and striking with precision. As the battle raged, a sudden storm rolled in, adding another layer of unpredictability. Torrential rain turned the ground into a quagmire, hampering movement and obscuring visibility. For the Navajo, the storm was a stroke of luck, providing cover for their retreat. Seizing the opportunity, they regrouped and launched a final push to break through the Comanche lines, driving the herd before them. Aftermath. The echoes of conflict. The raid was a success for the Navajo, though not without cost. They managed to escape with a significant portion of the Comanche herd, dealing a blow to their rivals' power and prestige. For the Comanche, the raid was a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities inherent in their reliance on horses. While they remained a dominant force in the region, the loss of so many animals was a setback that underscored the precarious balance of power in the Southwest. Broader implications. The raid highlights the complex dynamics of indigenous conflict in the 19th century. Far from being isolated incidents, such encounters were deeply intertwined with broader geopolitical forces, including the encroachment of settlers, the expansion of trade networks, and the shifting alliances between tribes. The Navajo-Comanche conflict exemplifies how resource competition and strategic necessity drove much of the warfare in this era. Legacy. A testament to strength and adaptability. Today, the Wichita Mountains stand as a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the peoples who once roamed their slopes. The 1848 raid, though a fleeting moment in history, encapsulates the enduring struggle for survival, sovereignty, and identity that defined the Navajo and Comanche nations. Through their courage and adaptability, these tribes not only shaped the history of the Southwest, but also left an indelible mark on the landscape itself.